Welcome back everybody, and welcome to the final video in this series. So I'm going to show you how to do one basic query on here, and then from that you should be able to kind of like look at the way I do it and look for adding in your own queries from there. So the query we're going to add today is actually one which searches through the order table and returns all of a specific customer's orders. Okay, so in order to do this, first of all, you obviously need to have some orders in your text file. So make sure you've got orders in your text file, make sure you've got customers in your customer file, and let's get on with it. So it doesn't matter where you add this. I've made a space just before my view products, and this is where all my different queries can actually go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by defining this query, so customer query. And we've actually coded a big portion of this already. The first thing we need to do is we need to search in the customers database to see if the ID that we enter actually exists in the database. So if we look up here at our add order, that is exactly what we do here. So I'm going to take this whole thing here up to my else bit where I actually generate the customer. My else bit here is where I'm going to actually change it for my own purposes. So I'm going to take that whole bit there, and it can be literally copy and pasted straight into the customer query. So that'll actually get us our customer, and really we should have like maybe a customer ID check as a separate function, but this is the only other time we're going to use it. But if you keep doing this and keep copying and pasting it, it's probably worth putting this into its own function. So this is going to basically, we're going to enter an ID and we're going to check to see if there's an ID there. I'm going to put nothing in there because my ID is just single digits now, because I started using the ID generator for my customers. So I've just removed that 0 there because that was a value which is already going to be in the box. So this opens up my customers, reads them all, and if that ID is found in my customers file, it's going to return it. If it's not, it's going to say it's not found, and then it's going to go to the main menu. So if it is, it returns the customer, it asks us if that's what we wanted, and if it's not what we wanted, then we are going to go back to the main menu. So perhaps there's been an error. If we've looked through, we've found a customer, and the user has agreed that that is exactly what we want, what we want to do is we want to actually, so if we've checked through all of that and the customer's happy, the user's happy, what's going to happen is this check will be true, so this next bit is going to execute instead. So we're going to go else, and we're going to open up the orders file. So open up the orders file there. Then what we're going to do is we've already done this as well before, where we find the length of it. And then we close the file. Again, if you remember from last videos, we're going to close it, we're going to open it up again. So this actually gets the length of the file, and then we close it to set the pointer back to the beginning, and now we can read through it line by line starting from the top. If we didn't do this, we'd have to do it another much more convoluted way, which we don't want to do. So I'm opening orders in read mode again. And what I'm going to do here, so in my orders table, we just check it, my orders.txt file, this first position is the user's ID, the second position is the order number, then it's the description of the product and the quantity. So position 0 here is what I want to check against the ID. If the ID they've entered is equal to that position, I want to return the whole line so I can see the whole order. So I'm going to grab the whole line, and then if line position 0 is equal to the ID, I'm going to save the whole line. Before I do this, I want an empty list called data. And what I'm going to do is each line which starts with the ID, so it's equal to my ID, I'm going to append it to that data list. So I'll just grab the whole line. You can type. You'll see in a minute. It's not as tidy as it can be when we return it and show it to the user. But you can tidy that up here basically by looking at what you actually append to this data bit. So now that we've done that, I'm just going to I'm going to use a code box, and it is going to first of all display the user ID. I could put the customer name in here instead, and that might be a little bit more user friendly. Let's do that. Instead of the ID, let's put this in. Actually, let's do this. So message equals, and we're going to put that's going to be their first and second name, and we can do a space there as well. And then here, instead of putting the basically, it's going to display first of all the first name and surname. It's a bit more user friendly now, instead of just displaying a number, which was their ID. Then we've got a title, order query, and then we've got the data that we want to actually return. So if we just do data, that's going to return everything. And then once we're done with that, we want to just go back to the main menu. So I believe that's right there. Let's actually check it, make sure it's running. So in order to check it, I'm just going to go up to my main menu, and I'm just going to put an option to actually click it. So here in my choice, I'm going to have a new one. I'm going to call it Run Customer Query. What you could do is you could make another menu just for all of the different queries you're going to make. But as we're just doing this one as an example, I'm just going to add it on here. So if it's equal to Run Customer Query, we're going to call it, what did I call it? Sorry about this. Customer Query. So I've just added that button choice there, so let's run it and have a look. So there's my customer query, fingers crossed when I hit it, the ID of my customer, so I know that the customer with the ID 2 has a lot. That's Stephen Miller. I'm going to press yes, and then we've got Stephen Miller as the title, and we've got all of their orders with the quantity and the order number there as well. Okay, then press OK. Run customer query. Let's have a look for let's have a look for 3. Lauren Hilton. Let's put a space in here. I thought I just did, but maybe it's for something else. So this is that person's order from there as well. So using this Run Customer Query, I can look up any of the customer IDs and I'll return all of their different orders. So based on what we've just done, you should now be able to add in some of your own queries and look at some of the other different bits and pieces of your tables. So that's it for the database. I hope you have enjoyed coding this database for this example. And I hope that from this, you can now go on to actually make your own more robust, validated database, which does a lot more than our basic starting point. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch up with you guys later.